think the very simple mental model to use in Bitcoin is that Bitcoin equals fiat liquidity plus technology. It's a very simple idea that if you believe technology will continue to improve the world and that the story of humanity is engineering a better world, and you believe that there's going to be more fiat existing in the future than there is today, governments and central banks will continue to print money and run deficits, Bitcoin is the best way to express that idea. It's the best way to monetize that future. And so for me, Bitcoin's price appreciation is largely centered around is the technology continuing to innovate and disrupt existing industries, and are governments and central banks continuing to debase currency and print money. Bitcoin's been the best expression of currency debasement. It's been the best barometer or index for fiat liquidity globally. Over the next 12 to 18 months, I see a lot more fiat liquidity. I mean, we've heard that the Genius Act unlocks $3.5 trillion worth of liquidity from banks and capital accounts at the Fed. We know Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac wants to come back into the private markets. We know that there's over $7 trillion in money market funds. And people have to remember that prices are set at the margin. If someone wants to buy one Bitcoin and no Bitcoiner is willing to sell them a Bitcoin unless it's $500,000 per Bitcoin, well, guess what? The price of Bitcoin is now $500,000. And what people have to remember is that with such a scarcity, with such an asset that carries such scarce dynamics, no amount of demand can create more supply. If everyone wanted an iPhone, Apple can just make more iPhones. That's why the price is not as volatile and as surprising to the upside, because they can make more. If everyone wants a Bitcoin, we can't make any more. And so to get your Bitcoin, you have to go higher in the market. Hey, is there enough Bitcoin for me at 120,000? No. How about 130? How about 140? How about 150? And so prices are set at the margin. And so if we see $10 trillion of liquidity in the US financial system alone, not to mention economies like China, Japan, that are equally in trouble or sometimes more, I think that the scarcest asset in the market will have a very violent reaction to the upside, and the marginal price that we'll see could be very high. That's typically how this asset responds to global liquidity.
Welcome back to the channel. Aaron here from the Bitcoin Bros. And in today's video, we're going to get into strategy. We're going to get into some of the Bitcoin treasuries, Bitcoin. Stay tuned for all this information in today's video. We can see right now, strategy's price is just below 400. MNAV, if you use the enterprise value, is at 1.74. If you use the market cap, we're closer to 1.56. And we can check that out over here on MicroStrategyTracker.com. And we can see right now, this MicroStrategy MNAV is around 1.58. And what that has meant for strategy historically, you can see that it is at one of its lowest points here over the past year or so. So this may be a buy the dip opportunity here to get in strategy while the MNAV premium is pretty low here at around 1.5. So that's something to watch out for. And if you guys are new, make sure to like and subscribe. We have new strategy Bitcoin content coming out every single day. Looking at the most actively traded US stocks, we have strategy down here, still in the top 20, around $2.74 billion of active traded volume at the time of this recording. And we have fallen down the list here of the top market cap companies in the US. And this is important for the S&P inclusion. Once strategy is included for the S&P, it's already qualified, but once it gets included, it's going to get allocation percentage based on the rank versus the other top 500 companies in the United States that are weighted in that S&P portfolio. And once this happens, this is really big for Bitcoin, because this means that passive S&P buyers are now going to be buying Bitcoin every time they buy the S&P, which is huge. And in my opinion, strategy is going to continue to climb the ranks, get higher allocation in the S&P, which just means more money flowing into Bitcoin with those passive funds. And if you didn't know, strategy's earning call is on July 30th or 31st. You can join at 5 p.m. Eastern time, and they'll be giving a bit of a presentation. This was where we'll potentially see that huge EPS number come out. The analysts are projecting a lot lower than where strategy probably will be because of their Bitcoin earnings. So we could see a lot of confusion from the traditional finance people. Why did strategy outperform so well over this past quarter? So this is a big day. be watching out for July 31st. That is Thursday. And a lot of people on Twitter are really concerned about the strategy stock price. Right now we're sitting below 400. But if you look over the past year, strategy is still up 136%. And if you look where Bitcoin is over the past year, it's up 70%. So strategy still 2xing Bitcoin's gains from a year ago. So in my personal opinion, you shouldn't really be too concerned about the MicroStrategy price action right now. And if you don't like strategy and you just like Bitcoin, don't buy strategy. If you don't think they'll be able to keep the MNAV up over a long period of time, just buy the Bitcoin if you believe in BTC. But if you believe in strategy and you believe they will become the biggest company in the world one day, right now is the opportunity. Look at where the MNAV has been historically. Right now we're at one of the lowest levels in a bull market, mind you. So that's just something to keep in mind. It might be a great buy the dip opportunity right now for strategy. And Cantor Fitzgerald believes it's a great time to buy strategy. They set a new shocking price target of $680 for strategy. So they're still bullish and they think strategy could potentially hit 700 by the end of the year. So that is definitely good to see from Cantor Fitzgerald there. And if you're worried about the Bitcoin price, I don't think you really need to be worried about BTC's price. At least in the short term, this is what's coming. So we have MicroStrategy going to be buying somewhere around 20 to 25,000 BTC with their STRC IPO, which raised $2.5 billion, the biggest IPO this year. So they have 20,000 Bitcoin that's coming. You have Marathon. They raised $900 million. They're going to be buying more BTC with that. And then you have the rest of these corporations who are buying a pretty big amount of Bitcoin. You add all this up, you divide by 450, which is the amount of Bitcoin that comes out every single day. You're going to get around 140 days of supply taken off the market from just these buys, which are coming over the next couple of weeks. So this could really send the Bitcoin price higher. So something to pay attention to there. Along with that, we have the Bitcoin ETF still buying. Yesterday, we had a $157 million inflow. Over the past 3 days, we've seen the ETFs for Bitcoin pick back up. So we'll see how these continue to perform for the rest of the week. But IBIT still buying just massive amounts of BTC almost daily there. So we'll see if they pick back up. But if we continue to see this along with the corporate treasury buying, Bitcoin's probably going to go higher for the rest of the year. And then we have a big announcement tomorrow coming out from the White House. They're going to release the first National Strategic Stockpile and Bitcoin Reserve report tomorrow. So we don't know what's going to be in this, but this could be huge if the White House comes out and says, hey, we don't have enough Bitcoin. We need the United States government to buy more BTC. That could definitely send shockwaves to Bitcoin's price, and it could go up. But we have to wait and see what this report's going to be all about tomorrow. We'll definitely keep you guys informed on that. And then just want to share this chart. We've been looking at it for a while here. Bitcoin versus M2 global liquidity. And a lot of people think this chart is BS, but in my personal opinion, it has been following this since, I believe, late 2022 to a T. And right now, if it continues to follow M2, you can see where Bitcoin is going to be headed by the end of the year, potential $150,000 BTC. So that's good for a strategy. That's good for all these Bitcoin treasuries. It's good for every Bitcoin player. So 150,000 Bitcoin. This was actually the price prediction I had for Bitcoin by the end of the year is 150K. And this chart is a little bit out of date here, but Bitcoin price at around 154,000. That's where I thought it was going to go by the end of the year. So M2 is showing that. So I think that's definitely possible, especially with all the corporate buying, all the ETF buying. I think we can definitely get to 154. And it may even go higher than that. And we'll see what happens. So let me know what you guys think. Where do you see Bitcoin going by the end of the year? What is your price prediction? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Like and subscribe for more content, new MSTR Bitcoin content coming out every single day. Thank you guys for watching all the way to the end. My name is Aaron from Bitcoin Bros. I'm out. I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great rest of your day.